Oh, I think we are live. Good evening from beautiful downtown Crestline in the San Bernardino Mountains of Southern California's Inland Empire. It turns out that this morning the internet went down all over this area. Some people had no internet at all, and I had not enough. But I'm back. And it occurs to me that this has been happening every Tuesday, 3 weeks in a row. On Tuesday morning, internet goes down. So I'm going to quit trying to go on live YouTube on Tuesday mornings. Just not happening. Oh, I think maybe Tuesday evenings are about right. Hope so. So here we go. Kindness. Okay, the topic is kindness. Be kind to each other. Kindness is a good thing. Let's see. That looks better. Yes, it's kind of dimly lit in my living room. I need to do something about that. Not sure what. But that's okay. Anyway, I'm sorry about this morning. It just wasn't working. And now, a great many in my audience are probably asleep by now. But I might try something on a Thursday morning or a Friday morning. We'll see. Or maybe an afternoon. I was way too busy today. Didn't get much done, but I did some laundry. I was going to wash the dishes, but never did. Anyway, it's good to be on live. YouTube can't decide whether anybody's listening. Let's see. Participants, none. Okay, YouTube keeps saying someone's listening and then saying no one is. I'm lost without my chat room with all the wonderful people who come up with ideas and such. Well, hi, Tim. I have someone in chat. I'm giving up on Tuesday mornings. 3 weeks in a row, I could not go live on a Tuesday in the morning. And I checked with people who live around here, and their internet has been going down completely. No email, no nothing on Tuesday mornings. Someone ought to give Verizon a heads up. Their infrastructure on the mountain sucks. And I'm not happy with YouTube because this morning, although it would let me post in the live chat, the screen was frozen for you and me. And I was going to talk about kindness. Huh. Oh, I like this lighting. I think I'll stick with it. My hair isn't as gray when I keep the room dim and have just one light on me. When the sun is coming in through the windows, my hair is silver. And actually, I'd kind of like silver if it were real, but it isn't. I would love to have silver hair. But you see, I was born a redhead. auburn hair, dark red. By the time I was 30, it was pretty much brown, but I still had a few red hairs. Anyway, kindness can do so much to enrich our lives. And it usually costs you nothing. I was thinking about that today when I was walking into the post office to get my mail because they don't bring it to the house. I opened the door and a gentleman was on the way out. I told him to go ahead since I had the door open, and he said, "No, the guy behind you is holding the door. You go ahead." Lots of kindness going around. I was supposed to go to a Lions meeting, but frankly, after getting my mail and a few groceries, I was not up to it. My back was killing me and I was hunched over. I couldn't even stand up straight. I think I can now for a limited time. But anyway, um, Lions International, the Lions Club, is all about kindness and helping others. I remember, even though this wasn't really a Lions thing, one afternoon when a local lady who had problems was sitting on the curb shouting, no cuss words, just shouting how she loves Jesus and stuff about people who were being mean to her. And she was probably drunk. And these bozos with a construction truck were making fun of her. So she was yelling even louder and getting really upset. So I tried to intervene. I told the guys, hey, leave her alone. She's just drunk. And they started teasing her about being drunk. So, and I'm not usually a huggy person. I don't display a lot of affection, but I gave Penny a hug and she calmed down and the guys gave up. That was kindness. Now, when there's a huge disaster in Florida with the hurricane Ian, now you probably won't see them on the news, but the Lions Club will be there in the aftermath to help. They'll clean up the mess, they'll bring food, bottled water, blankets, tents, whatever people need. And lions are never paid. The club will pay airfare or train or bus fare for them to get there, but they're on their own, and quite often they take care of their own expenses like food and shelter while they're helping. That's kindness. But I'm a lion, by the way, a proud lion. The main focus of Lions International is sight, your eyes, seeing. Ever since Helen Keller challenged this club to become Knights for the Blind, we go beyond blindness. We help to preserve sight. We provide free eyeglasses to people who can't afford them. And when possible and when needed, we pay for an optometrist to um, examine them and write the prescription for the eyeglasses. And not just locally, not just in the US, also in Mexico and other countries all over the world. It's an international organization. Well, enough about that. Well, one more thing. We help with diabetes treatment because diabetes is the number one cause of blindness. And anyway, it's something special. I joined the Lions originally because I was new to the mountain communities and I needed some kind of connection, but it's made me a better person and a kinder person. I'm kind of stubborn and ornery, always have been, but I've learned to be slower and more quiet, but still stubborn and ornery. And those can be good qualities. But sometimes just a kind word will make somebody's day, or a smile. You see a stranger and just smile, or say good afternoon or something. Of course, there are places, especially in big cities, where you probably don't want to talk to strangers. I don't know, but holding the door for someone, we do that all the time in this small mountain community. Yes, and Tim says, true, small kindnesses go far. And a smile or a kind word, they don't cost you anything, but they can make someone's day. And if you see someone, for me, it usually happens at the checkout, uh, at a mini mart, the 7-Eleven, the gas station, the liquor store. At the checkout counter, someone's being rude or just has that look on their face or that tone of voice that tells you a kind word like, are you okay? Or are you having a bad day? Can I help? Goes far. And what we see quite often at our local grocery store, when someone can't pay and they're deciding what to put back, someone else in the line will fork over a little money to cover it. And that's really special, especially when it's a young mother trying to get food for her child. Yes, there are food stamps, but quite often people who make too much money to qualify for food stamps still really don't have enough money to get by, especially with the skyrocketing rents. I have to keep this house because I could not rent a room for what the house costs me. It would be about twice as much. It's a good thing I like the house. It's just too small and needs a lot of work, repairs and maintenance. And since I broke my hip 2 years ago and then recently broke my back uh, twice in 6 months, um, I can't do a lot of things. My hip is pretty much healed, but my back isn't. And the neighbors who are actually rather low class and I don't know, of questionable character, they're nice to me. They help me when they can. For example, my washing machine bit the dust, and someone who's in the community, but I don't know her, and she lives miles away, gave me her old washing machine because she had bought a new one. And another member of the community who has a truck went and got it for me. And then the guy next door loaded the old machine onto his pickup truck to haul away for me. But then he got two flat tires on his truck. So he has this old dead washing machine in the back of his pickup. If I could afford it, I'd buy him new tires, but geez, they're expensive. I did give him $20 for gas. It was the best I could do. Ugh. And I do let him park in my driveway because he doesn't have enough room on his lot to park. He's a renter who's kind of stuck with that house because it's one of the few houses in this area that does not cost more than he can afford. He's trading his labor fixing things that are broken. Well, hi, Circle K. Hello. This just might be my new time slot. I'll say it again. This morning, third week in a row, I lost the internet on Tuesday morning. Come to find out, many people in my area also lost internet. And even though I was still able to sort of get my email slowly, and glitchy, they couldn't even get email. One of them drove to my house to use my internet. Okay, so I think maybe I'll do Tuesday afternoons or evenings from now on. This is working out much better. It's possible that a lot of people get online in the morning and use up the available bandwidth, and Verizon does not have enough towers in this area. Realistically, there's only one tower that my location can reach. They have two towers for about, well, more than 10,000 people, most of whom have internet. Hi, Witta. So, anyway, I think Tuesday mornings are impossible. Sorry about that. All I have to do is think about lighting a cigarette and I start coughing. Oh well, I'll light it later. So, kindness. Apparently, I have a perfectly good connection now, but not this morning and 3 Tuesday mornings in a row. So, I'll check out different time slots and see how this works. This is probably a little too late for some people. I mean, it's 8:30 here, but it's 11:30 back east, and let's see, it's about 4 in the morning in England. I don't know what it is in Australia. I've given up. I think we're 8 hours different, but over there it's tomorrow because of the international date line. Yeah, it'd be 4 in the morning tomorrow, or um, how does that work? It would be 8 hours from now plus a day would be 4 in the morning Thursday. I think. I don't know. Maybe it's 8 at night tomorrow. I can't figure this out. Well, YouTube says I have 2 listeners, but I have 3 people in chat. There we go. 3 listeners. YouTube lies all the time. I think there's a time lag, a lapse of time between when you sign on and when YouTube notices you. Okay, in Tampa, yeah. Oh, Witta. Is the hurricane? If you're in Tampa, the hurricane just might be in your area by now. You stay safe. I heard there were evacuation orders in low lying areas. And if I remember correctly, the highest elevation above sea level in Florida is something like 50 feet. Ah, they evacuated everyone who lives in trailers. Good. Um, it's a running joke, been going on for years, that trailer parks attract hurricanes because you always, in disasters, you always see the trailer parks totally devastated. Those mobile homes don't hold up well to extreme weather. A while back, I guess about a week ago, yeah, I think it was like Sunday and Monday a week ago, we had a lot of rain. But when the wind picked up, and we get gusts, it's not unusual to have gusts of 70 miles per hour, and sometimes they're even 90 miles per hour. But not winds, not tornadoes. I mean, not hurricanes, not tornadoes. They aren't going in circles, they're straight on wind. Well, it got so bad, it was pouring rain, and the wind picked up, and the rain was coming down the vent, the roof vent to my wall heater, and my heater was spraying rainwater onto the floor along with the heat. At least it was not enough water to put the flame out. The heater kept working. Uh, Circle K, that isn't very kind. Better a trailer than a real house, because trailers are gubba anyway. Well, anyway, my house holds up to the wind just fine. Where I am, we worry about earthquakes. And in the last one, I wasn't sure. I had to go outside and ask the neighbor, was that an earthquake? Because they had a ceiling lamp that would swing if there was a quake. Okay, Circle K, you own a trailer. Yeah, I don't like mobile homes. Well, hi, Jason. Hope I'm not disturbing anyone's sleep. A little kindness can go so far. And of course, in addition to people, we need to be kind to animals. Dogs, cats, horses, goats, cows, even pigs. Someone around here nearby once in a while takes her potbelly pig for a walk on a leash. It is cute. Oh, Phil's audiobooks on YouTube. Yeah. Well, there are quite a few. I've been listening to them myself. Oh, they put trailer parks in wind tunnels. That's possible. This mountain has this part of the mountain, I should say, Crestline, Lake Arrowhead, Cedar Pines Park, and Valley of Enchantment. We have a trailer park, but it's in a sheltered location. It doesn't get hit that hard. It was never touched by the old fire that almost burned down all of Crestline. The firefighters, many of whom live here, were ordered to leave because of the danger to them. And gee, all of a sudden their radios just weren't working and they couldn't hear what dispatch was telling them, and they took a stand and stopped the fire. Hi, Jan. Oh, Jan's, I think in New Zealand. Is it Wednesday there or Thursday? I can't remember how to how to calculate the difference, except that you're one day ahead of us. It's Wednesday. And what time? It's 8:30 p.m. Tuesday here. So is it just a 24-hour difference or more than that? 1:45. Oh, so it's less than. Okay. You subtract 7 hours and add a whole day. I imagine that it would be 8 hours if we were not on the stupid. Maybe it's 6 hours. I don't know. We're on that stupid daylight saving. Beautiful sunny afternoon. We had one of those today. All right. If I'm going to play with the cigarette, I might as well light it. Now, I have been without a car for something like 6 years, maybe 8 years. I don't remember. Kindness is people who drive me to where I need to go when I can't walk that far. Oh, yeah, many trailer parks have swimming pools. Many moons ago, decades ago, my brother lived in a trailer park with his family, and they had a swimming pool, but nobody was allowed to use it because the electrical things for the lights were unsafe. So they eventually drained the swimming pool, and I don't know how they covered it up so people wouldn't fall in. Wow. Let's see. 8. Yeah, well, you're 7 hours behind, but one day ahead of us, Jan. Maybe Australia is 8 hours, but New Zealand is only 7. That's likely. Anyway, my sense of geography is a little better than average, but nowhere near perfect. Oh, you're in Tasmania. That's right. But Tasmania is a little island off the coast of Australia, isn't it? Tasmania. I don't know how many times the kindness was never paid back to me, but was passed on to someone else. And people have been kind to me, sometimes in return and sometimes just out of the blue because they want to be kind. New Zealand is 2 hours ahead of Australia. That's interesting. Well, let me refill my water. Hang on a minute. It's empty. Dum de dum. Dum de dum de dum. Dum de dum. Dum de dum de dum. Just keeping some sound going. I think I'll flip off this other light and make it even darker. It's nighttime here. The darkness helps me to start feeling sleepy. Lately, I've been kind of keeling over around 8 in the evening, and I'm tired of waking up before the sunrise. This time of year, the sun rises around 6:45 in the morning and sets about 6:45 at night. Okay, hi Oswald. Ah, yeah, it isn't exactly a surprise. The thing is, every Tuesday morning for 3 weeks in a row, I haven't been able to do a live show because of the screwy internet. And I've learned that other people also have that problem every Tuesday morning. Some of them every morning, depending on their location. So I think the problem really is Verizon. They're jerks. It's time to get the split ends lopped off. But I'm beginning to like my long hair because when winter sets in, it keeps my ears warm. All summer long, I kept putting it in a ponytail or anything to get it off of me. I have a strong signal. That's good. So I'm going to explore times like 8 at night. Maybe I'll try 2 in the afternoon, whatever I can, and see what works and what doesn't. But Tuesday mornings are out of the question now. Did I see? No, I didn't. Okay. I'm hallucinating. I thought I saw Jason. All right. This is awesome. 35 minutes without the your internet connection is unstable. I did see Jason. Hi, Jason. Well, I guess I was being psychic. By the way, the paranormal is real. Everybody has some ability in the psychic realm. Just the same as everybody can play tennis, but you aren't Bjorn Borg, and everybody can play piano, but you're not necessarily Liberace. And Liberace wasn't that great a pianist. Let's see, Shostakovich. I'm straining my memory for who plays piano. Everett. Hi, Everett. I'm experimenting with time frames when Verizon isn't crashing. I've never listened to William Ramsey. I'll have to check that out. Oh, I do listen to sometimes Dark Journalist when he isn't going into the mystical. Never mind. I often listen to Clyde Lewis, and I try to catch Robert Phoenix, Walter Bosley, Cardinal Sin. The artist formerly known as Prince? Everett? Yeah, well, whatever. Although Purple Rain was a great song, I never really got into Prince. I guess I'm showing my age, but I still like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin. Uh, why do I always forget that? It's on the tip of my brain. The group with Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. Ah, Fleetwood Mac. Thank you, Tim. Yeah, it's Mick Fleetwood's group, but I liked Stevie Nicks. Uh, okay, I don't know who Justin is. Oh, Justin Murphy. I don't know who that is. I guess from what you guys say, I might or might not check him out. I'm not a Luddite, but this is not a professional broadcast, so I don't worry too much about my background, my lighting, and all that stuff. You're here to talk to me, and I'm here to talk to you. So, what I need is the good, strong signal. You'd listen if I came on. Okay, well, talk about Luddism. Luddites are like the Amish on steroids. They don't use technology. Well, I've been on, I was on with Cardinal Sin once. I've been on with Clyde Lewis 3 times now. I was on with, oh gosh, now I forgot his name. The Saturday fill in host who quit um, George Norrie's show, which raised my respect for him immensely. And I listened to him quite, at least twice a week. And I forgot his name, but I've been on with him once. I don't know who Uncle Ted is. What do you mean I don't stream with Catholics? Shame on you, Oswald. Oh, Ted Kaczynski. Thank you. Jimmy Church. Thank you, Circle K. I actually went on Coast to Coast one time, but only because it was Jimmy Church. But whatever I'm watching on YouTube or whatever, the chat is often more interesting than the show. You guys have to check out Walter Bosley. I'll type his name in the chat. He doesn't just believe in UFOs, he saw one. And he acknowledges that there's woo-woo stuff out there that's real, but he doesn't walk that far into woo-woo land. Ah, I've got to gain some weight. Oh, yeah. Everett, I'm a Baptist and not particularly devout. I haven't been to church in ages. There's different kinds of Baptists. I was baptized Southern Baptist. In a black church. Now, there were white people in it, but the preacher and the deacons and most of the congregation were black. And it was cool. You see, when you go to a black church, they aren't looking at the color of your skin. Try that when a black person walks into a white church. Even today, you'll see discrimination. But you see, I'll hang out with atheists and Catholics and whatever because they need prayer more than the people who are saved. We are supposed to welcome everyone because we're all sinners. Yeah. What I loved most about my original church was the singing. The whole congregation would sing, and if you weren't loud enough, they'd encourage you. Didn't matter if you couldn't carry a tune, sing louder. And the more you do it, the better you get. Oh, yeah, they noticed my whiteness, but that was fine. They treated me the same regardless. Yes, be kind to strangers. You may be entertaining an angel. Tim said that. Tim Greenglass. Costco Christians and Barnes and Noble Christians, Oswald says. I don't go to Costco because it's hard to buy anything for one person at a Costco. And as far as I know, Barnes and Noble is pretty much gone. Bookstores have been hit hard by the crazy economy. but I'm just a backslider. That's what they call you when you don't show up at church regularly. At least I don't show up at Christmas and Easter. I just show up when I can. Oh, yeah, black churches celebrate. They certainly do. Oswald says you have to go to Europe to find real Catholics. And Everett says we need Latin Mass. Oh, I think it's every New Year's Eve. Yeah, the Pope uh, holds a Mass and it's televised and it's on YouTube and so forth. Oh, yeah, the Blues Brothers movie where they had to save the penguins. My local churches, well, all of our local churches stepped up their charitable events during COVID, especially food banks, but also winter coats when the cold weather came, winter coats, blankets, and such, and school clothes when school was starting, school clothes for children. Now, I know of at least one church that, uh, while they did not advertise it, if you showed up to church on Sunday, they let you in and they did not require a mask. And I'm not telling who it was because that could get them in trouble. Yeah, American Catholics are real Catholics. I'm hearing a lot, especially from Joseph Farrell, that we should all join the Orthodox Church because they're the real Catholics. But I'm happy as a Baptist backslider. Anyway, the Baptist church I belong to is not the really bad ones are Central Baptist. They're all into works and faith won't get you nothing. Catholic high school was fun until you were expelled from heaven. Thanks, Everett. Um, there is this very popular school of thought that once you're saved, you're always saved. And then there's the other school of thought that you can lose your salvation when you lose faith. Well, Peter lost faith momentarily when he was walking on the water and he fell in. That doesn't mean he wasn't saved. Somebody's security light is going off. Either that or it's car headlights. I think it's a security light. I don't know. Not at my house. Bosley and Jay Widener talk a lot about Fulcanelli. I'm going to have to do some research so I can talk about Fulcanelli. Okay. Dennis Dale came back on air the other day. I don't know Dennis Dale. Oh, wow. And Walter Bosley does a lot of uploads, including his model building and stuff like that. It's really interesting. But Sunday afternoons, he usually has a live show for 2 or 3 hours. Oh man, am I getting tired. I need to make myself stay awake a little later so I don't wake up before the dawn. Jay Widener, I know the name, but I can't quite place him. Oh well. I'm just gonna have more coffee and another cigarette to try to stay awake. Oh, reality check. Jay Widener's channel is reality check. Yeah. Used to be associated with Gaia TV. I think Gaia TV has gone off the edge into the deep end. And I forget which channel it was, but the guy with the hair was always, oh, could it be UFOs at the end? Could it be real? Could they be aliens? I tried to watch him, but I just really got kind of bored or annoyed. Okay, what? Oh, breakfast of champions, coffee and cigarettes. Oh, coffee and cigarettes. Slavic breakfast, huh? Just a sec. Coffee. Well, I've found that my health improves when I have a real breakfast. I don't eat it in the morning. I usually have it for lunch and sometimes for an after dinner treat. Sausage and eggs, or bacon and eggs, or pancakes with sausage and real maple syrup, not that sugary stuff they call pancake syrup. Yeah, History Channel almost certainly had the aliens guy. Well, anyway, no offense to him. I'm sure his show was useful for many people. It was just, I already know most of what he was covering, and from more advanced sources and a diversity of sources. Yeah, you have to have fun food, Circle K. Well, anyway, my health is better when I eat real food. I will have a bowl of cereal with milk from time to time, but I do better with things like bacon, sausage, eggs, and I need to gain weight. Oh, and a Facebook friend sent me this stuff, NMN. It's got this NMN and resveratrol and black pepper extract. It's supposed to give you energy and improve your sleep and your heart health and reverse aging. I know I probably don't look it, but I'm 68 years old. Sometimes it's good to be a redhead, although my hair isn't all that red anymore. I like the way it looks in this lighting, but when I look at it, you know, rather than looking in the monitor, it's gray. But I have a lot of red hairs showing up because the brown hairs went gray first. Yeah, I do still eat Pop Tarts once in a while. Frosted raspberry Pop Tarts. Although lately they've been out of raspberry, so I had to get cherry. And the other day I binged on Whoppers. I wish I had a better brand of malted milk balls covered in chocolate, but I can't find the good brands around here. Oh well. Uh, well, they used to have homemade, well, I guess store made ones, but actually made fresh every day by the people behind the candy counter. I don't think they do that anymore. Trying to figure out whether I'm seeing headlights or the neighbor's security light. Well, thank you, Wita. My hair is improving. That's how I know that what I needed was protein. As I get more protein into my diet, my hair and nails are improving. And the little white crescents near the base of each fingernail are going away. The, if you have a white crescent where your nail begins, you have a protein deficiency. Pop Tarts are thinner than they used to be. Yes, they are. And they fall apart. Oh, yes, Tim, I use a lot of Ovaltine. And I have no problem with cow's milk. I digest it just fine. So, whole bunch of Ovaltine in a glass of milk. Chocolate malt flavor. Oh, yeah. And I found that, well, my son told me, the protein shake that works for me, that is not so sickly sweet and does not have artificial sweeteners, but it's got a nice smooth texture and it tastes good, is Ensure Plus. I was okay with Boost, but it's made by Nestle, and I was only okay with it because it had too much sugar. But Ensure Plus, no other variety of Ensure. The others are either chalky or so loaded with sugar I can't stand it. As for Pop Tarts, yeah, they have less filling, and the borders, the corners especially where there's no filling at all, are too big, and I break those off. If I want to eat pie crust, I'll make a pie crust. I used to do that for Phil. It was one of his favorite desserts because his grandmother used to make it. You just make a round piece of pie crust, maybe 4 or 5 inches across, dot it with butter, and then sprinkle on cinnamon and sugar and bake it, and you just eat that, the crust, the pie crust. Well, anyway, I don't appreciate having so much fake pie crust on my Pop Tart. The darn things, the corners tend to fall off when I pop it into the toaster. I really need them heated up. I don't like them when they're just straight out of the package. Oh, Ovaltine, yes. It reminds me of that Seinfeld episode where he knew a comedian who was bombing, just wasn't doing well, because his joke was about Ovaltine should be round teen because the jar it comes in is round. It's amazing what I do remember. Well, back to paranormal. I don't just believe in it, I know it's real. Oh, I thought I had someone knocking on the door. It was just a cat walking with heavy feet. Silly little sweetie. Where did she go? Oh, to the food dish, of course. I think I like this time slot, except for the fact that I can't stay awake and my cigarette went out after one puff because I was ignoring it. Come on, wake up, lady. Well, the topic was kindness. Be kind to everyone, even Catholics, even Baptists, even atheists. Yeah, intuition, empathy. Well, the really strict scientific, faithful scientists will come up with, well, this is how it really works. You didn't really predict the future. Your unconscious mind looked at the evidence that you didn't notice consciously and it figured it out. Okay, that does not prove that you can't predict the future. It just demonstrates how you can predict the future. Oh, cricket protein Pop Tarts? They better have truth in labeling. I do not eat bugs. You know why? They can't remove the guts. And you know what guts are filled with. Ew. And I don't eat escargot because a snail is nothing but a gut that walks around. Yuck. No, thank you. I understand they feed them cornmeal, they wash them thoroughly, all that stuff. No, it's still a gut. Even though I did once order sweetbreads at a restaurant and I ate them. It's a calf's pancreas filled with a bread stuffing. And it's tasty, but it isn't a bug. Mad scientists taking the heart out of everything. Oh, French cuisine is fine, but not escargot, no thank you. But the sauces that the French make, oh, the sauces are so good they almost might make me eat bugs. Almost, not quite. I do wonder if maybe I might try chocolate ants, but no crickets and no snails. I have my limits. I also don't eat kale. I don't consider it edible. If God meant us to eat kale, He would have made it possible to chew it. Well, Everett is Italo French. Well, I like the Italian food with the white sauces, like the Tuscan cuisine. There is no one Italian. Back before I had all these ulcers, stomach ulcers, and this horrible hernia, I used to love Sicilian lasagna because the deli that made it used basil instead of oregano, and I despise oregano. But when I made lasagna at home and left out the oregano, it was flat. Now I know to add basil. Pauline kale. Oh, that isn't making a joke, Everett. Um, My hair is tickling me. Hmm. Now, what I like to watch on YouTube is Chef Jean Pierre. He's French and Italian. His mother is Italian and his father is French. And he has a sort of a French accent when he speaks English. He says that he was speaking Italian when he was very young, but when he reached a certain age, and because they lived in France, his so he was like school age, his father said, "No more Italian, we speak French in this house." Anyway, he will take a traditional recipe, whether it's French or Italian, and make changes so that it's the way he likes it. But lately, too many of his recipes have had a lot of tomatoes, and the doctor told me to avoid tomatoes because they're bad for my stomach until I get it settled down. He said my stomach doesn't just have a spot with an ulcer. He says the whole thing is on fire. Well, Italian food in the United States isn't called ethnic because most of what we get here is American Italian food. I love the dishes with white sauce, whether it's seafood or lamb or beef. I've never tried goat meat or even goat milk. Maybe I should. I have tried goat cheese. I think that's what the Greek feta cheese is. I'm not sure. But I did once try goat cheese. That's what the label said, goat cheese. It's okay. Oh, Italy has a lot of north south antagonism, plus, northern Italy is kind of Swiss. Yeah. And southern Switzerland used to be in dispute between Italy and Switzerland. I forget where I learned that, but it was recently. Oh, it was from Chef Jean Pierre. Ah, he talks about more than food. Okay, Oswald loves goat milk, cheese, and butter because he's a Capricorn. I do like lamb, but I stuff it with a ton of garlic. Unless it's a chop. A lamb chop, I soak it in Worcestershire sauce. And I'm one of the few people who can say Worcestershire because I've practiced since early childhood. Mom made a point of it. It isn't Worcestershire, it's Worcestershire. Well, in England, it's Worcester, and they often leave off the shire, especially in Canada. England and Canada, it's Worcester sauce. uh, Glenn and Friends Cooking, the guy's in Canada. He did some pretty good stuff on his show, stuff that anybody can cook. Uh, Chef Jean Pierre tends to make things fancier than I care to attempt. Although I can make the same thing and just not try to make it look beautiful. It was the best of shires. It was the worst of Worcestershires. Yeah, no, that isn't Tolkien. Well, it would be, oh, come on, Tale of Two Cities. And I almost called the author David Copperfield. Where's my brain? Dickens. Charles Dickens, I think. Don't hold me to it, I could be wrong. Lamb of Goddesses? Never heard of that, Everett. Are you making a pun again? Randy is here. Randy Oliva. J.R.R. Dickens. Cute, Oswald. Okay, hi, Randy. It's been an hour and 10 and my internet is still strong. This morning, oh, it was horrible. And I learned that it was horrible all over this community. Some people couldn't even get email. Okay, Circle K writes what most of us pronounce as gyro, but it's really hero. Hero in English, but it doesn't mean hero. I don't think it does. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. But the Greeks probably pronounce it gyro, maybe hero, maybe gyro, not sure. But in English, we would spell it like hero. And it has nothing to do with heroes, like, big, strong guys who save the world, like Superman. It's just, oh, I love those, though, but everyone around here calls them gyros. I love the lamb gyro. Oh, with cheese and gravy and yummy. Gillian Anderson, who played Scully in X-Files, went to Oswald's high school. Oh, Tim. You guys are too much, and he spelled you, E-W-E. Hi, Don. Oh, we're just chatting away, but Tim had to remind me. In third grade, let's see, that would be 1962. We had, well, first I had Mrs. Santley, who was wonderful, and then my whole family moved across town, and I had to go to a different school, and the teacher was Mrs. Chin. And it was a big deal because she was from China. We were terrified of that woman. Little kids. Long story, but the point is, when she was teaching us to read, she came across this ewe lamb, and ewe is spelled E-W-E, and she made us pronounce it Ewe, Ewe lamb, and no one dared correct her. That was back when the teacher could paddle a student with a wooden paddle that was provided by the school, and she used it on occasion. Okay, did I type hi, Don, in the chat room? Yeah, I did. Okay. Everett says she was a Chinese sorceress from the Communist Party. Well, that was the thing. She was not from Taiwan. She was from China. And I've since learned, because every time I meet someone in California who's from Taiwan, he or she is Japanese. Well, I've learned why. Taiwan was a Japanese colony, and only 1% of the people there now are ethnic Chinese. The rest are either Japanese or native islanders. 99%. China did manage to take over Taiwan a couple times. Once way back in like the Dark Ages, and then once around the time of World War II, very briefly, because Japan lost the war. But then Taiwan became independent, and it is not Chinese. The people are Japanese and native islanders. But the Chinese government is angry because when Chiang Kai-shek, the elected president of China, fled in the communist revolution around the end of World War II, he took all the gold with him. Through not only the people of China were already in desperate poverty, but he threw the government into poverty by taking all the gold that backed their currency. Their money became worthless. Yeah, NATO better not allow Taiwan to go. They're not Chinese. The people are not Chinese. I'm not going there, Oswald. Yeah, Circle K, yes, great English and science teachers who worked hard to get stuff into your thick skulls. Well, I learned an awful lot just because I knew how to read. When I was 4 years old and Dad got a job where he had to work on Sundays, so he was not there to read the Sunday funnies to me, I pestered my mother relentlessly to teach me how to read. And she finally did. Phonics. Each letter has a sound. Some letters have more than one sound. Like A can be A, or A, or Ah. But some letters, like K, have only one sound. Well, Don, I wish for no government, but it ain't gonna happen. There'll always be some bully saying, okay, you pay me and I'll make sure all the other bullies leave you alone. Taxes are protection money, plain and simple. But we do need protection from bullies, and the best bodyguards are bigger bullies. Oh, Christmas trees. Tim, you reminded me of this time in Culver City, small community between Los Angeles and Venice Beach, where I spent the first 11 years of my childhood. Well, 10 years anyway. I just turned 11. Yeah, 11 years. I just turned 11 when we moved. Well, anyway, one year this outfit bought up a vacant lot to run a carnival in the summer. and the lot had all these tumbleweeds growing on it. And it was December, so they had plenty of time. But they decided to make a little seed money, money to support the carnival. So they harvested all the tumbleweeds, big bushy weeds. They're actually the Russian thistle that somehow got imported to California and other parts of the US. Well, anyway, they harvested the tumbleweeds and spray painted them blue and white and sold them as Hanukkah bushes. And they were really popular. They served the same purpose as a Christmas tree. And Oswald has a question. Do I know if Phil had any run-ins with the Moonies? Only at the airport. And he did not give them any money. He was too broke to give them money if he wanted to. But his ex-wife Nancy got involved in Moonies, but her daughter Isa talked her out of it. The tumbling tumbleweeds, yes, Dawn. That's a D-O-N, Dawn, not a D-A-W-N, Dawn. I try to pronounce them differently, but I'm lazy. I don't teach English anymore, so I don't have to be that careful. Did Phil write a lot when I was around? Oh, yes. Most of his exegesis. Letters, like 3 pages, single spaced, typed up. Just letters to people. And he wrote some stories and some novels. Wow. Well, I don't get royalties on Phil's intellectual properties because I divorced him. I had an agreement for royalties on several properties, but it was getting complicated and there was a lot of conflict. So the estate bought me out for really pennies on the dollar, but um, so that money's all gone. There won't be any more. And, it's done. And there's no more conflict. You see, my son has to get along with his sisters. It's his estate, too. His heritage, his ancestry. Yeah, Phil knew Forrest Ackerman. I never met Forry, but Phil did. Well, when he moved out and rented an apartment and moved his girlfriend in, I figured the marriage was over. But he kept asking me to take him back. I finally said yes so he would quit bugging me, and he was ready to set the date and everything, and then he died. I would have gone through with it. Married him again. but he didn't have a girlfriend anymore. Yeah, and then told everyone that I left him. He got a moving van and took all the furniture and valuables to his rented apartment where his girlfriend moved in with him. And then he told everyone that I left him. Well, what I did was spend the night at my parents' house. One night. That isn't leaving him. Oh, Don Burnham has American spirits. I do still have a very few of the Dunhills that Cardinal Sin sent me. But I'm rationing them because they're almost gone. So it's the next best thing, camel filters. I don't know whether I would walk a mile for a camel. I can't walk that far now. I can't make it to the end of the block. But sometimes I go around the corner to get a pack of camels. Yeah, camel and American Spirit are the best that you can get at any store. But in Europe, the European tobacco companies buy the best Virginia tobacco, all of the best, and Canada too. And then the American companies buy the stuff that's left. Amsterdam Shag. Yeah, I've got to. Oh, I used to smoke Marlboro Red all the time, but I think camel filters are better. But eventually I will get one of those machines that stuff the tube with tobacco for you and start rolling my own. Oh, it's 12:40 in Pennsylvania, huh? It's one. I'm sorry, it's 9:40 here. Oh, Sanju. Hi, Sanju. That's probably a Hindu name, but it could also be Japanese. But Garg? Yeah, I think it's Hindu. Yeah, your Raj current is feeding you. Oh, you have a sister in California. Oh no, you're vaping the Juul, Everett? Don't do that. It'll kill you. Vaping kills. Okay, I've got to recycle some coffee now. It'll just take a minute, so don't go anywhere. I will be right back. Oh, Lord. I'm slow. Uh, hmm. Dum de dum, dum de dum de dum, dum de dum, dum de dum de dum. Ah, wow. I'm beginning to like this time slot. I do get sleepy. Well, Everett, the lungs thing, I don't really smoke. I burn cigarettes. I puff on them. I don't go into my lungs. That's one reason why I don't smoke pot. One bit in my lungs and I cough for half an hour. And I can't breathe. But if you actually inhale cigarettes, yeah, vaping might be safer, except because it isn't as irritating as smoke, you might be inhaling too much when you vape. Ooh. Well, you get, or at least I get enough nicotine through the tissues in my mouth and my nose. Speaking of vaping, I use a vaporizer. We have very low humidity here. We're semi desert. So, especially when I'm sleeping, I'll have the humidifier running, and that helps with my breathing. Oh, no, I'm not John Wayning cigs, and I don't Bogart them either. I usually, though, do have a pack of the cheap stuff for when people bum cigarettes off of me. Lately, they don't ask for a cigarette, they ask for a pack of cigarettes. I'm not going to spend $10 for someone else to smoke. I'll get the cheap stuff for them. 5 packs a day? I can't even burn that many in a day. And there are some good things about tobacco. It used to be the only real treatment for tuberculosis, a lung disease that could and sometimes was deadly before antibiotics. But with the crap they put in many cigarettes today, there's side effects from the chemicals they use to treat the tobacco. Now, Camels, well, for one thing, the filter is cotton, just cotton, no fiberglass or any crap like that. Um, and their tobacco is respected. It isn't loaded with tons of crap. Oh, John Wayne smoked Camels. My favorite movie? Well, I have to say Radio Free Albemuth. Although I did watch The Fugitive, the one with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. I watched it 12 times in the theater, and then I bought the VHS tape because 13 is unlucky. See, the matinees at the movie theater were really cheap, and The Fugitive was no longer a first run, so they were playing it at like 3 in the afternoon for $1.50. Yeah, I wasn't all that thrilled with Harrison Ford. Sorry, I got itchies. Um, it was his role, not so much his acting as the. They just had him run and grin, run and grin, run and grin. Tommy Lee Jones was amazing. I probably would not like him as a person. That's what I suspect. But um, he's a great actor. I still remember at some awards ceremony, I actually watched the news clip, a long clip of the various actors walking the red carpet with reporters, asking them questions. And he had just married an actress who was barely 18, and he was in his 30s. And I realized that he thought she was embarrassing him. But when you marry a child, you must expect that person to be a child. I remember when I was 18 and I married Phil, I was a child. I didn't think so at the time, but I was. But Phil, was always a child. When it was necessary, he'd be the grown up, he'd be the adult in the room. But in many ways, he was still a child. Willing to play, the good part of not childish, childlike. He loved to play, and that's a good thing. Okay, let's see. A nurse told Oswald recently that he looks like Ryan Gosling from Blade Runner 2049. You took it as an insult because of me? Isn't he the guy who played the android? I'd be insulted for being called an android. Blade Runner 2049. Okay, I liked it in spite of its flaws. I really did. But I can see why it didn't make any money. They advertised action and adventure and gave the audience an art film. I like artistic stuff. Don't marry children. A public service announcement. Well, Phil and I were fated or doomed, not sure which, but I'm certain that somebody with ulterior motives threw us together. Phil was certain about that too. And even though it's been years, he passed away in 1982, I'm still convinced that he was right. I'm not sure what the ulterior motives were. Oh gosh, now I got itchies and tickles. Women at least think they're more mature than men when they're young. I know that I was not interested in men my age, but I didn't realize how much older Phil was. And he didn't let on at first. I soon learned 25 years between us. But I was quite often the adult in the room. But man, I'm not interested in anyone else. I've met lots of men but I've been pushed into blind dates and such. No, I've had the best, and I won't settle for less. We were a good match. He became convinced that whoever they were still out to get him. I don't know. I really don't know, but there were some shady characters hanging around. Oh, thank you, Don. I don't feel like a fox now, but Phil used to call me the Fullerton Fox because we lived in Fullerton. Yeah, a scanner darkly has a lot of thinly veiled personal experience that Phil had, but he was never addicted to drugs. He could smoke a cigarette and leave the pack sitting on his coffee table for a week and not touch another one. He dabbled, like he had PCP once. He tried blue mushrooms once. He tried LSD 2 times. And as for the methamphetamine, it was prescribed by his doctor. And when I met him, he wouldn't even take an aspirin for a headache. He'd try a cup of tea instead. Yeah, A Scanner Darkly is highly autobiographical. Well, he had the amphetamines for 2 reasons. He had gotten a little overweight when he was married to Anne, so he took them to lose weight. And then his psychiatrist decided that he needed amphetamines to get him out of a deep depression. Um, After his divorce from Anne. But frankly, the amphetamines were not a problem for him. He could take it or leave it. He just liked the euphoria. He liked feeling good until he learned that he had serious high blood pressure and the amphetamines could kill him, so he didn't use them anymore. Oh, Don likes Jack Kerouac. I keep meaning to read On the Road, and I never do. I just go, I should read that. But Phil told me all about it. Because he read it. Kerouac wrote on amphetamines. Well, in the time that I was with Phil, he never used amphetamines. He was simply, uh, at the time they called it manic depressive, then they decided to call it bipolar. And when he was writing, he didn't sleep much. So he would get kind of weird from sleep deprivation. But every time he had an idea, he'd jump out of bed and go start typing. He rarely made handwritten notes until he was working on his exegesis, and then he made tons of them. What did he do for fun besides writing and hanging out? Well, music. He'd play his vinyl LPs of everything from classical music to acid rock. I used to depend on Phil even after we were no longer together. He'd introduce me to the best of the new music, like Pat Benatar, who, for some reason, after being a big hit, just disappeared. And Brian Eno, and I forget the name of the other guy, because Phil told me that Brian Eno recorded the music on a 30-foot wire, but it was actually someone else. I didn't really care for the 30-foot wire, but he said it was like the Whale song, and then he'd put on the album with Whale songs. But I don't really care for Whale songs. It's real whales singing. Oh, Don loves Brian Eno. Yeah, Brian Eno was good, or is. I think he's still making music. Well, for a long time, Everett, my son, introduced me to new music. Now, okay, you're a film connoisseur. Well, I don't go to the movie theater. It's difficult to get there and get home again. I don't drive, and it's expensive. But yeah, right at the moment, I'm watching this. Come on, DVD. Can't read it. That Cardinal Sin sent me, the classic monsters. I have watched Dracula with Bela Lugosi, Frankenstein with Boris Karloff, and The Invisible Man with, what's his name? I never remember his name. Uh, why do I do that? Um, Clyde something or Claude Rains. But I still need to watch Bride of Frankenstein and The Wolfman. Now, you probably think you've seen these movies. But if, like me, you saw them on television, they were severely cut. For one, to pass the censors, and two, to fit a time slot. And all the different versions of Frankenstein were all mixed up in my mind. But of course, in the original movie, everyone, I think, most people anyway, remember the scene where the little girl is tossing flowers into the water. And the monster runs out of flowers, so he picks up the little girl and throws her into the water, and she drowns. You haven't read my books, Don? Oh, well, I have to recommend my novel, The Darkening of the Light. It's my one, well, it'll sound a little egotistic, but it is my one masterpiece. It's very, well, kind of paranormal. It's a husband and wife, both separately in, uh, well, comas. They're both comatose. separately, but they share a dream world. If I want old classics, the RKO films from the 40s are better than the Universal monster classics of the 30s, in Everett's opinion. Oh dear. Frankenstein, many people think it's a great book. I find it nearly unreadable, but that's another story. What I see in the novel Frankenstein is Mary Shelley warning her husband Percy about the consequences of his obsession with the occult. There's a large and growing group of experts who insist that Percy wrote Frankenstein. Well, it certainly bears the mark of his editing, but I don't think he wrote it. He was more of a poet. And during their lifetime, Mary's novels were more successful than Percy's. She wrote other books. And the argument is, oh, she was just an 18-year-old girl who never went to the university. Well, no, she was homeschooled, as was the practice at the time for the daughters of wealthy and elite families. But look who her parents were, Mary Wollstonecraft, and what's his name? I forgot his name, but he was a bigwig in politics and academia. Why have I forgotten his name? It wasn't Shelley. She married Shelley. I'm completely gone. Oh, Wollstonecraft, anyway. Very successful scholars as parents with a great library in their home. I'm sure Mary Shelley had a great education. Yeah, I like film noir. Oh, Don hasn't read a book in a great while. Yeah, it's getting easier to play an audiobook. Yeah, well, Frankenstein, first off, I don't like epistolary novels. It's all letters and cables and diary entries. But second, it doesn't really explain how he brought the creature to life. And I think it's ridiculous for Dr. Frankenstein to look at his creation and scream and run away in terror. I would not expect a doctor, a man, to do that. Now, maybe a woman might, but, well, maybe not so much terror as horror, but to, and then to be an invalid because of his psychological shock in his sick bed after creating life, which was his great triumph. I don't see that as a man's behavior. But I would see it as Percy Shelley if his occult uh, explorations bore fruit. It might just knock him off his rocker for a while. And Shelley did tend to work himself nearly to death, and he died in a boating accident that might have been suicide. Funny, Oswald, but pretty original book. But yeah, well, I'm sure that even if Percy wrote long passages and did more than editing, it's Mary Shelley's story, saying, "Hey, look, buddy, this could happen to you. You want to raise the dead in a seance?" Kind of like raising the dead to life in Frankenstein. It just might drive you mad if you succeed in contacting the dead. Okay, my water's empty. I gotta refill it, but I'll be back. Dum de dum, dum de dum de dum, dum de dum, dum de dum de dum. Dum de dum, dum de dum de dum. 2 hours, guys. And my internet is holding. Yay. Knock on wood. Don't want to tempt the fates by bragging about it. Okay, Don says he's JK. I don't know. John Kennedy? Whatever. Oh, tried to make a joke. Okay. Yeah. Frankenstein is original, but I have to read it in short sessions. I can't just sit down and go through the whole thing because I'm really annoyed by epistolary novels. I can understand inserting letters and diary entries into the narrative, but I want some narrative. I feel like I'm intruding on somebody's letters from summer camp to their parents, and then the letters back to them from their parents. I don't know. But I do like the local stage play. We have a local theater group. It isn't profitable, but the owner has enough money to support it, and it's his passion. He writes scripts and he plays roles, and he's really good. And for Halloween, they're doing Dracula. And of course, it isn't the whole thing, but it is not your Bela Lugosi vampire. The guy's really evil and scary. And not all that charming. He'll be charming just long enough to set his victim at ease and then chomp. Everett says the epistolary style can get on his nerves, but not in Frankenstein. Okay, at least it isn't like Moby Dick, where I used to tell my students, you can skip the long sections about whaling and kinds of harpoons and stuff like that. Who's going to read 2,000 pages when half of it is about how to catch a whale? Well, Herman Melville, in his time, when he wrote Moby Dick, had an audience who wanted bang for their buck. If they bought a book they could read in one sitting, like between dinner and bedtime, between dinner and bedtime, they felt cheated. They spent good money on their books and they wanted to get a lot of entertainment out of them by taking a long time to read them. Kind of like the way you think an amusement park ride ended too soon. Oh, I did read Treasure Island as a child. Never completely got through Moby Dick. I skipped large sections because I needed to get to the end. It was a job, not a pleasure. Although I did enjoy Moby Dick, the parts I did read. The first sentence caught my eye before I ever read it. You'd hear people referring to Moby Dick and tell you the first line is, "Call me Ishmael." And I usually get annoyed at first person narratives, even though I've written one where the narrator is the main character. Oh, Dawn likes Herman Hesse. Yeah, Phil insisted I had to read Siddhartha. I still have his copy of Siddhartha. I never read Steppenwolf, but I was aware of a rock band called Steppenwolf. You can tell I'm really sleepy. I lose the ability to speak. It's pretty good, huh? I liked Siddhartha, which of course is the life of Buddha. Begins as a spoiled, wealthy brat and ends up as a monk and a wise man. Born to be wild. Let's see. Circle K. Sorry you're on the phone. There's a message held for review. Another moderator just handled this. Okay. Whatever. I don't know what you were sorry for, Circle K. That's okay. Whatever. I'm winding down. It's over 2 hours now. And I'm thrilled and delighted, but it is now 10:17. It's definitely past my bedtime. Okay, Oswald recommends Glastonbury Romance by John Cowper. I never know how to pronounce that. It's probably Pwys. Powys. It's Welsh, no doubt. Okay. Oh, keep blanking on the author's name. How can I do that? The Moonstone, one of the earliest crime mystery detective novels. Ah, I gotta find out who wrote it. Moonstone novel. Yeah. Come on. Wilkie Collins. Wilkie Collins. Moonstone. It's about the theft of a diamond. I think it's a diamond. Anyway, it's a gem. Appointment in Samara. Now that title's very familiar, but I can't remember. Let's see. But I have a sneaky feeling that I should remember it. John O'Hara. Okay. It must be on my to-read list rather than I have read. I'm really keeling over now. So it's time to call it a day, but remember to be kind. And the people who need your kindness the most are those who you instantly dislike. Oh, typo. Come on, evil computer. I've really enjoyed this, and I'm really happy to have all of you chatting with me. Am I a legend? Phil's a legend. I'm still alive. If nobody told you they all loved you today, Oswald won't be the one to do it. Because he doesn't know any of you, and that'd be creepy. Well, I love all of you guys in a very platonic way. I'm always thrilled and delighted to have people to chat with. Otherwise, it's just me staring at a screen and, muttering and grumbling and prattling on. So I'm really thrilled and delighted to have all of you here. Oh, Tora, yeah, she hasn't come to say hello to you guys because she's sound asleep. At least she let me have my heating pad this time. Aw, I'm sorry you're lonely, Chad. But, yeah, it really is time to go night-night. I'm barely awake. So, catch you all next time. Bye.